Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy far and sound.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello there, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This is Todd Hoffman and Trent Hoffman. You're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 132. Today we're going to be talking about episode 6 of season 2 of Bad Batch, The Tribe. Unfortunately, little buddy Trent can't be with me today, but that is okay. He is here in Force Spirit, and we're so happy to have you here along the way. And if you want to catch us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Big T Little T, we would love a follow there. We're gaming every week. We're playing some Ninja Turtles, playing some Goat Simulator 3, and of course a little Fortnite along the way. So having fun doing that, and definitely check us out. Hey, we're going to be part of Ike's Flame podcast. Recently he asked us to come on his show, and so check us out there. And so we just guest spotted on him, and we just love hanging out with Isaac. And so we're talking about getting hyped for the Mandalorian season 3, and we looked at 2 characters that are our favorites in the Mandalorian. So go check that out, Ike's Flame podcast. Hey, guess what? It's podcast day. If you're not aware of that, not only is it podcast day, it's actually Star Wars podcast day. So it's a super cool thing that we get to be part of. And so we took just a slight delay on release an episode just so we can do this. Podcast day is, let me tell you about it. It is on February 7th, which is today, and it's the 24th anniversary of Jedi Talk. And so we are doing February 7th is the date, and we're doing that. So let me tell you about Jedi Talk. That was the first Star Wars podcast, and that aired on February 7th, 1999. So that's the 24th anniversary of the first Star Wars podcast. Now let me tell you something. When I first started podcasting, I didn't even know what a podcast was. So this is pretty cool that this happened in 99, February 7th, 1999. So there is this wonderful man named Daniel. You can follow him on StarWarsPod.day, StarWarsPod.day, and Instagram and stuff like that. And again, it's just a way to celebrate Star Wars, and I think that is super, super cool. So check it out. There's going to be a bunch of podcasts that are dropping stuff today, February 7th. And so check that out. That's, again, Star Wars Podcast Day 2023 is the hashtag. Or if you really want to spell it all out, it's hashtag SWPD 2023. So Trent and I are super happy to be part of that. And like I said, you can hear us 3 times, man. You can hear us on Ike's Flames. You can catch us out here, Big T, Little T. And then also my podcast, my other one is WSTR Galactic Public Access. We're releasing Star Wars trivia. So there you go. 3 ways to get us today on Star Wars Podcast Day. And like I said, when I first kind of started exploring podcasting, I had an iPod. I just never downloaded a podcast. I knew kind of what it was, but not really. And that is super cool that Jedi Talk started that like 1999. Little behind on the game, but that's okay. That is super, super cool. And without them, we wouldn't be here too. So that's kind of a weird thing as well. So there's so many different podcasts out there, and obviously one of the main subjects out there is Star Wars. So we definitely love talking about that. All right. So once again, we're moving right into our main topic, and it's called The Tribe, or no thought in front of it. It's just tribe. So this was hinted in one of the trailers, but we finally get to see Gungi. So you know, it's we complain about like standalone episodes. It seems like Bad Batch is doing a bunch of standalone episodes, and there's not too much cohesion in a sense, but seems like their jobs are not working out the best for him as they struggle to figure out this kind of empire thing happening, and as they're trying to the screws are getting a little tight here. So in this episode, they're doing a job, and they're essentially chain codes is another thing that was brought up in Clone Wars in season 7, I believe that is, and so this is a great tie into that, and we have them developing some chain codes, Tactical Style developing some chain codes, and giving them to I guess they're droid bounty hunters or droid. According to Wikipedia, they went to the Axis leader, which is there's some kind of Vanguard Axis. I don't know. This is something that I'm unfamiliar with, but these droids are definitely not of the good kind, which I kind of like this like rogue robots doing their own thing. And so, of course, 3 of them are doing the deal. Tech or Echo and Omega are hanging back at the ship. Omega hears their, you know, Tech's or Echo's like, "Hey, I'm going to start the ship up, and we'll get out of here when we'll get out of here nice and quickly split." But of course, Omega hears something, and she hears a Wookiee, and then we see these droids like basically like shocking a Wookiee, and it's like, what the heck? And that's when Omega comes in, and of course, it's not just any other Wookiee, it's Gungi. We love Gungi so much. And Gungi, if you're not familiar with this, is that he comes from an awesome episode, The Gathering. So, Gathering has a lot of like lore and tie-ins to Star Wars, to Jedi Fallen Order, all that fun stuff. But essentially, The Gathering is from it debuted on November 3rd, 2012, and it's season 5, episode 6. And so what this is essentially Ahsoka takes a group of Padawans to Elam. And now why that's important is like, okay, Elam is where a lot of kyber crystals are at, and we find out later that Starkiller Base is actually Elam, and that we find that out in Jedi Fallen Order is that they use that because it's a base that is full of kyber and be able to harness the sun, brother. And so yeah, lots of tie-ins to that. Really cool episode. A couple sub episodes with Gungi in it. But one of the cool things about Gungi is that he makes part of his lightsaber out of wood. It's one of the only lightsabers that we see that is part of his heritage and stuff like that. And in this episode, we get to see Kashyyyk wood, if you will. I'm sure there's a name for it, a proper name for it, but essentially it's wood from his homeland of Kashyyyk, and he melds that into what he makes as a lightsaber, and it's just one of the very unique lightsabers out there. So that's super cool. So back to Bad Batch, the droid's got the lightsaber on his hilt, and of course Gungi uses the appropriate force power and gets it from him, and then they get out of the jam. Obviously, then more of the Bad Batch come, and we got our old self a little firefight. So they take care of a couple of the droids, get the Marauder, get out of here. Is that in their ship? I think that's their ship. I'm pretty sure. And so Gungi's like, yo, let's maybe, he's scared of them. One of the other cool little, just a little bit of, how can I put it? the little nods in there is that Omega brings them a little food, and it's like in this little snack tray. It's the same snack tray that Luke uses in Empire Strikes Back. Just like a cool little thing. Didn't have to be there. Nice little Easter egg in there. So yeah, it's like a little snack thing that, Yoda's eating his granola bars from and stuff like that. So just another cool thing that happened there. And then we have that. And so they decide to take Gungi back to Kashyyyk. Now, again, Kashyyyk's under Order 66. They don't know what's happening there, and so they want to kind of go in a little incognito, but they have to again make sure that they're kind of safe. So they go to an outpost they know, and it's all blown up. So when they get there, it's not a really warm homecoming. They could see Kashyyyk is besieged by the Trandoshans, actually, we don't see the Trandoshans just quite yet, but they get to Kashyyyk. They see that there is a nest of spiders that Gungi basically says, "Hey, just I'll show him that we're not a threat," and they kind of go away and they go on the major path. But then we find out that Troshendans are involved with the Empire. This is a great little nod and a little bit more lore again. Jeez, can't say it. Trandoshans, there we go. Trandoshans are the lizard people. The most famous one is Bosk, the reptilian nature. Also in the Clone Wars, we find out that Trandoshans like to hunt Wookiees. That's part of their culture. It's one of those things because Wookiees are so a powerful warrior, and Trandoshans love to hunt them. So we have all that going on there. So it's not a far reach to be like, hey, the Empire's like, hey, we're going to hang out at Kashyyyk, try to round up all the Wookiees. Maybe if we bring some Trandoshans along the way, that will help. Again, these are another species that's featured prominently in The Mandalorian, and we're going to see that a little bit more here in Bad Batch. And obviously Sid is Trandoshan, but she is not of the hunting type. She's more obviously of an information broker and a little smuggler there. So we had all that going on there. And so now we got the Bad Batch taking out, Trandoshans and the Empire, and we have then Wookiees come to their aid as they rescue one of the Wookiees, and then he takes them back to their village, and we have this kind of elderly Wookiee, and yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's great. They get to experience a little bit of the Wookiee culture. We got Wrecker drinking some Wookiee milk or whatever, and just hanging out with the Wookiees, and then they take on Trandoshan kind of hunting clan, because now they have an idea that there's a Jedi there because of the first war party that they kind of destroyed, and now the main Trandoshans, like, there is a Jedi amongst them, which obviously is more money. So these are all things that motivate the Trandoshans and the Empire to work together. And so now we have this whole kind of war party hunting them down, and the new group of Wookiees with the Bad Batch trying to set some traps. The spiders come back in play. They take out the main bad of Trandoshan, and yeah, and then we have like Omega and Gungi talking to the trees, and the trees, they also see that the Wookiees talk to the trees, and the trees talk back, and that's where the spiders come in. It's this whole thing, a whole cool theme that continues within Star Wars about being one with the Force, being one with nature, a symbiotic relationship. These are all things that kind of play into just being a cool Star Wars show, and all these things kind of interconnect and stuff like that. So it's a super cool episode with, at the end, obviously they get to stay with they kind of stay with the Wookiee group. Gungi's going to stay there. One of the things that Hunter brings up too is like it's been brought up again. Like they're just kids, and they don't their like childhood is robbed from them for the state of being that they're in, and so these are all things that that's another big thing that's happening with Omega, and Hunter realizes like she hasn't had the childhood that she needs and stuff like that. So it's just really kind of a cool little episode to wrap up with, and again, that there's a new path, there's hope, and Hunter basically says, hopes that this path is far away from war as they kind of set this new path for Gungi and Omega, and that's like kind of his wish is just we get far away from war, and yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that's a really cool just message as far as like, hey, we do these things, but I don't want to be in them. So yeah, just a fun episode there. So there you have it, episode 6 of Bad Batch already. Jeez, we're getting almost halfway there. Super fun. So again, since it's Star Wars Podcast Day, we gotta have Light It All Up. So again, if you're not familiar, Light It All Up is our little trivia section. So I already said in this episode, so it's pretty easy, but just in case, what is the episode that Gungi first appeared in the Clone Wars? Drop that at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com. Give us your answer. We'd love to send a prize pack out to you. So yeah, that's the question. Again, what is the episode that Gungi first appeared in the Clone Wars? There you go. So thanks again, Space Wizards, Plastic Spaceman, and Rebel Princesses, to listening to another episode of Big T and Little T. You can find us on the socials, Big T, Little T, Instagram. That would be Big T, Little T Podcast. On Twitter, it's BLILT Podcast. And then twitch.tv/Big T, Little T. That's where you're gonna find Trent mostly all the time, but he'll be back on. We're gonna have a couple more guests here coming up for Bad Batch, and we'll get Trent on and get his thoughts. So we got stickers for you. We want to hear from you. So drop us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Give us a screenshot. We'd love to read the review on an upcoming episode. Yeah, we want to send some swag your way. You know what I'm saying? So next time, Bad Batch, episode 7. Oh, can't wait. Another thing that kind of came up, I think it was this week. Was it this week? Yes, it was this week already. Oh my gosh, or just late last week. EA said that they're delaying Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and I was super happy. I know that's weird to say. Gives a couple more 6 weeks, but man, it keeps March from getting too insane and giving us a little bit something in April and something to look forward to as we go into May the 4th. So super excited for that. I'm okay. Give me a little delay. Plus, it gives me time to catch up on some games, get those done and taken care of, and then we're all there. So, once again, if this is your first time listening to, or you've been a long time listener, thank you so much. Happy Star Wars Podcast Day. Check them all out. They're all really good. And definitely, follow SWPD Podcast 2023 as your way to find out all those kind of podcasts and everything like that. So, again, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the Force be with you always. Bye. We'll see you later. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.